Howdy, folks. I'm Cautious Cobweb Skipper, carefully circumventing clingy cobwebs.
I'm Amber.
And here are more cobwebs for us to carefully circumvent because you never know, especially as a butterfly, whether or not that's going to be the last cobweb you've circumvented. It would be a terrible time as a butterfly. But let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Faking a Haunted House to Get My Boyfriend to Move Out Because He Refused to Leave After We Broke Up? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I broke up with my boyfriend Steve, a 31-year-old male, 6 months ago. We had been living together after the breakup, and I gave him plenty of time to find a new place. He kept saying things like, I just need a little more time. The market is ridiculous. I can't find another place that allows ferrets. He doesn't even own ferrets. I don't know why he said that. Well, fast forward 6 months, and the man is still leaving beer trimmings in the sink and playing Skyrim until 3 a.m. I was losing it, so naturally, I decided to haunt my own apartment. It started out small, whispering through the vents, flickering lights. I bought an old porcelain doll from Facebook Marketplace, and I moved it to different locations every night. I whispered, "Get out, Steven," into my phone. I slowed it down 800%, and I made it play from the inside of the walls via Bluetooth speaker. I even got my friend who does special effects makeup to pretend to be a Victorian child ghost in the hallway mirror. Steve started losing sleep. He saged the place. He bought some holy water and started talking to the doll like it was real. Then one night he packed a bag, looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "The spirits have chosen you. I can't fight them anymore." And then he left. He's now living with his sister. I've reclaimed my space. The doll is in my closet, and sometimes I still whisper to it for fun. Now here's where things get spicy. Steve found out it was me. My friend posted a behind-the-scenes picture of the ghost makeup on her Instagram. He saw it and messaged me a very long paragraph calling me a manipulative monster with a flair for the theatrical, which honestly was kind of flattering. My friends are divided, half are saying that I'm a genius, and I deserve a Netflix deal. The others say that I should have just kicked him out the normal way, and gaslighting via ghost might be ethically questionable. So am I the jerk for faking a full-on haunting to evict my emotionally clingy ex? Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, it was effective and nobody got hurt.
Well, I think maybe justified, right? I think that this was probably not necessarily the best thing in the world to do, but I also think that the way he was dragging his feet on this and making up excuses really wasn't great. And OP didn't have to take the legal route to get him out of the apartment, and because that can take a long time.
Yeah, well, evictions can take time and they can be messy, and so, and I get why OP went this route. I mean, we have talked in the past about
Or joked.
Yeah, we weren't seriously considering this, obviously, but we had some very annoying neighbors, and like, wouldn't it be funny if we haunted their house to make them think,
Because we have a crawl space under our apartment that reaches over to our neighbor's place. So all we have to do is like take a speaker or something like that and have it play like spooky sounds or something, and they would think that their place was haunted.
Yes.
Of course, we would never do this in reality, right?
No, and we have much better neighbors now, so we don't have to haunt their place.
Yes. So I think the thing is, like, I understand her reasoning here and why she would want to do something like this. And I do agree that it is ethically questionable, but probably justified. And the fact is that, like with his whole ferret comment, right? It's clear that he was just making excuses. So I don't blame OP. I really don't.
I don't, and I'm going to give her not the jerk.
Yeah. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. Accidental jerk. I mean, I can buy that.
Yeah, I'm not on board. I don't think OP was in the wrong. I think haunting your neighbors is a great way to go, so you don't have to go...
Roommates, you mean?
Or roommates, yeah, not neighbors.
Well, okay, well, I will give OP credit here, right? It doesn't sound like OP told him that the house was haunted. She just let him assume that the house was haunted. Now, if she was saying, like, oh, the house is haunted, you better get out of here, those ghosts are going to eat your soul, that might be a little bit of a different situation.
Well, and I think the important thing here is the way he was behaving was entirely inappropriate. And he was taking advantage of OP. And so she was just trying to get him out of the apartment without having to, like, go through all the messy hurdles of evicting him formally.
Yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Calling Out a Typo in Someone's Hinge Profile? And Amber wants to read this one.
I have been using dating apps on and off for several years. I can be a stickler for proper spelling and grammar, and I know it can get obnoxious in certain contexts, so I've learned to be judicious about when to call out infractions. However, I do think when people misspell homonyms, for example, your and your, it can make things harder to read and sometimes be straight up confusing. I came across a Hinge profile in which a woman had written a response to the prompt Things I Look For. In her response, she wrote, "We complement each other." Even though that's a perfectly valid statement, I just assumed she meant compliment, which has an entirely different meaning from compliment. So I reached out with, "It's important to me that we compliment each other in addition to giving compliments." She responded, "Do you think this would actually work?" And then unmatched me. Am I the jerk?
All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are the jerk. I mean, if bad grammar is like a deal breaker for you, just like unmatch and be done. If you genuinely want to correct someone, build up a little bit of rapport first, and then just say, "Oh, by the way, I wasn't sure if you meant this compliment or this compliment. I just figured I'd point it out in case you were wondering." People may still not like that, but at least it doesn't come across as you just trying to be like, "Look at me, I know the difference between words. Aren't I so smart?"
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think that OP, if they were approaching this in like a good faith way and they're trying to say, well, I don't know whether or not this person meant compliment or compliment, it would be kind of a difficult situation because either one really works in that
That's the
case,
thing.
right?
There's also the audacity of assuming that he knows what she means better than she herself knows.
And then also, if she used like text to speech or something like that, then maybe it wouldn't have picked up on which compliment they were talking
That
about.
is something that I have to read everything I post very carefully because I use text to speech, and I end up with some really wild things sometimes.
So I think that he made a lot of assumptions here, and like, it's just not, if you're trying to date someone, if you're trying to show interest in someone, correcting them isn't necessarily like a good pickup line.
Yeah, it does
right?
not get you off on the right foot because it feels like you want to show that you're superior to them.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people do not want to go out with someone who is acting like, "I'm so much better than you."
Yeah. So I think that OP can take this as a lesson learned. Normally I would say maybe not everyone's in the wrong here, like everyone's, free or clear, but judging by OP's like actual username being Stalin, I mean, I'm not terribly concerned by the fact that I'm going to judge them poorly now.
Well, and on top of it, that like this wasn't even a clear case of misused homonyms because he's making assumptions about what she means. Like she may just genuinely really appreciate when people give her compliments, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, your hair looks nice." That is something a lot of people value in a partner.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like I think he's just making assumptions and doesn't necessarily know what she meant here. And maybe she stuck that in there as a trap to certain people. Maybe she was playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Eating Food Made for Me on a Date Because I'm Picky? I'm a 24-year-old female and I'm a single mother of an 8-year-old. And I was in a bad relationship as a teen, which led to me being pregnant. I haven't exactly dated since, maybe been out on a few dates. My daughter has a condition called AFRED, meaning she has a very restricted diet, and it's very much connected to her ASD, autism spectrum diagnosis. I don't force her to eat certain things that are her unsafe foods. Since her diagnosis, I've been quite sure that I might have it too, but I cook for both of us and I'm self-sufficient, so it doesn't bother me day to day enough to think about. Well, anyways, about a month ago, I went on a date to which we went out to dinner and it was amazing. He was so open to meeting my daughter in the future and being a family man. I only do serious relationships, so yes, this is stuff that was discussed on the first date. Well, the second date was a week ago. I went over to his place, not for anything weird, just to watch a movie. He then made dinner. Don't get me wrong, it looked amazing, but I felt awful telling him that I actually couldn't eat it. Usually, if something is unsafe for me, such as melted cheese or vinegar, I'll still choke it down to be polite, and then just vomit and cry later. But he had put one of my hard no's in there, Mayo. I hate it, But more importantly, I'm actually allergic to eggs pretty severely, and he knew this, as I told him on the first date. He was cool with this on the date. Well, once he gave me the food, I apologized so much, but I couldn't eat it. He replied with, once we get past this Mayo thing, my daughter can come over here too. And I was pretty mad about that comment and snapped back that I'm not eating his gross food and not talking about my daughter like that. He apologized instantly, saying that's not what he meant and that it was a stupidly rude joke. I said that I was sorry for calling his food gross. It actually looked really good. We ordered some maccas and then I went home soon after. He seemed okay. Well, about an hour later, I texted him that I had a lot of fun and I was sorry about the situation. He said it's fine, just didn't have to be such a jerk about it. I was confused. We went home happy. I apologized more, and then he brought back up me saying that it was gross and refused to eat it. He was completely ignoring my allergy and saying that you really need to get over this, Cass. It's childish and it's not the way to raise a kid. Things like that. I know being picky is annoying, but I don't feel like I did anything wrong. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, and do not see this man ever, ever, ever again. I am very worried for both you and your child, because what he is doing, like ignoring an allergy that you are very seriously allergic to and calling it pickiness, like who's to say he wouldn't hide Mayo in something to try and get you over your allergy? And also, he doesn't understand how AFRID works. If you give people with AFRID unsafe foods, it can make it even harder for them and they can restrict their eating even more, because eating becomes a scary and painful thing.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't always understand is that with certain sensory processing disorders, eating certain foods can actually make you physically ill. So it's not always a matter of being picky. There are some foods that I literally they hit my stomach and it just does not feel good anymore, and then I just don't, if I were to keep eating them, it's going to become a no food for me forever, because my body's just we are not doing this. And so his line of reasoning is very bad and very harmful.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think I understand him being maybe annoyed at picky eating, right? I mean, some people have pet peeves about this, but you can be annoyed and still respect someone's eating patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as for the eggs, I think I agree with you on that. I think that this could be a dangerous situation. If he thinks that he can just make OP magic their way through eggs, then there may be a situation where he cooks something up with eggs in it and then tells OP after the fact, oh, by the way, that had eggs in it. See, look, you ate it just fine, right?
Right, and then it's the question of, do you get your EpiPen fast enough or do you die?
Yeah. So he is not such a great person in this respect, and I think that if he isn't going to take OP's food allergies, very serious food allergies, seriously, then that's not good. And it shows, I think he's just being manipulative here. I think he apologized and played this, whole thing in a way where he could continue this relationship, but he thinks he's going to fix OP and their daughter.
Yeah, OP and her daughter are a project for him to fix, and he is going to end up traumatizing you both, if not killing you.
Yeah, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I messed up by telling my Italian mother-in-law that I was getting more vagina this afternoon. Well, my wife is Italian and my mother-in-law doesn't speak very much English. My Italian is pretty mediocre and I can get around Milan. My vocabulary is decent, but my pronunciation and grammar are both horrible, and I will get words confused. Well, my wife was FaceTiming with her mother yesterday morning, and I popped over to say ciao to her. She started asking me the basics like, how are things, how's work, etc. And then she asked me about my plan for the weekend. I told her that I was going to be running errands all morning, and then I tried to tell her in the afternoon we were going to be getting, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, probably worse than OP did, Pioviggine, a little rain. Instead, I told her that we were getting Pioviggine, more vagina. My wife immediately gave me this look of absolute horror and pulled the phone away. Her mom was silent, and I could see her face. What? She said, incredulously in English. I looked at her confused, and I said, pure vagina? Her reaction I can best describe through emojis. Horrified, giggling face, more winky face, hands up. I don't know what this has to say. What are you trying to say? Is that going to be there's going to be a little bit of rain later? Pioviggine? I could hear her mother erupt into laughter once she realized what I did. It took me another moment to figure out what I had said, and then I turned beet red. And that is the last time that I'll be talking to her mother for a while. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, that's a funny story. Hopefully OP can get over their embarrassment. Hopefully everyone just, it becomes one of those funny stories that you tell people and is not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is not a big deal. I mean, it's impressive that OP can speak another language at all, right? And I don't think that that's anything to be ashamed of. And anyone who speaks a second language, poorly speaks a first language pretty well, probably, right? And I don't think that there's anything to be ashamed of there.
Well, that's the thing, is like when you're learning a new language, you're not going to get everything right all the time. Mistakes are expected, and sometimes they happen to be hilarious. And so, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What might you call an incursion led by pizza and cake?
Oh, pizza and cake? I would call it the Pie-cursion of doom, because they would all count 3.14 in harmony until the entire world collapsed in upon itself.
A snack attack.
Oh, a snack attack.
And today is International Pizza Cake Day. And these are cakes made to look like pizzas. So
interesting. So go find yourself a pizza that is a cake that is impersonating a pizza and eat it to show it who's boss, really. And I have the special guest tea. Today I have the chocolate one. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior, folks.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and our guidance. And please have it on social slip-ups.
Unless you're like an educator or an employer, don't correct the grammar of people you don't know.
That would be a social slip-up. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Oh, bye. I was just gonna do ghost noises in the background. Ooh.